Hey everyone, welcome back to our online IELTS lesson. Today we're going to have a lesson on writing task 1. And this lesson contains lots of information about writing task 1. So let's jump right into the lesson. First off, I'd like to show you the common structure for task 1. As you can see, the common writing structure for task 1 starts with introduction. Next comes the overview. Some people to choose to write overview at the very end of their essay, but personally I prefer to put overview right after the introduction part. Next comes the main body paragraphs, body 1 and body 2. There are two main types of task 1. The first one is descriptive. Descriptive types are usually maps and processes. Next one is analytical. Analytical charts are line graph, bar chart, pie chart, table, and multitasks. Analytical essay, as you can see, I've divided analytical essay into two parts. The first one shows the overtime information where you have to use different tenses such as past tense, present, or future tense, and there are usually more than 2 years. And in this kind of essays you can use trend description such as falls or rises, fluctuations and stuff. And of course you also always move on comparing and contrasting the information in the chart. Second one is fixed time. There's only 1 year in fixed time, but there are lots of information. Of course, in this type of task you don't really have to describe the trend. It's the only thing that you need to do in this kind of charts when describing actually these kind of tasks is to compare and contrast the information. The things that you shouldn't do when writing task 1. The first one, never include extra irrelevant information. Remember, you only need to write the information that you see in the chart or diagram. You don't really need to add some other information. Second one, never try to give explanation to numbers. You don't really have to explain the numbers, just use the information given in the chart. Do not give your opinion. Describe the diagram based on data. So you don't really have to give your own opinion because the charts usually shows us the statistics. Do not add any numbers in the overview except for years and names of groups. So no details for the overview section. It's only about the summary of the chart. Basic trends and patterns in writing task 1 are here. The first one you can see it's to rise. The second trend shows falling information, to fall. The second one to stay the third one, sorry, to stay unchanged, and the last one is to fluctuate. Overtime. For overtime charts, the three types, covering the past, prediction based, covering the past plus present. No, you should know that to describe the past event we use past simple, while the action continued up to now we used to describe through present perfect. If we aim for making projections, predictions for the future, we usually use future simple. Tenses in task 1, trend description. So let's take a look at these diagram. This is actually called a line graph. We will look at this line graph, and here you can see different sentence structures that you can use to describe a chart. I took this line graph as an example. So the first one here, graph covering the past. We use past simple. You can see here the line graph shows us different years starting from 1960 to 2010. And here is the sentence for the body part. You can see the revenue of GM from cars sold increased tremendously from $5 million in 1960 to 45 million USD in 1980. A nine-fold growth. This shows a nine-fold growth. Next example, this is another sentence structure. You can see there was a tremendous increase in the revenue of GM received from car sales by 40 million USD. From 40, or you can actually change it like this, from 4 million in 1960 to 45 million in 1980. Another example here, the GM car sales register a tremendous rise between 1960 and 1980, reaching 45 million USD. Tenses in task 1, trend description. These structures, these two sentence structures are about present perfect. So to describe the trends that started in the past and continued up to now, you can use present perfect. For example, the first one, the amount of milk produced has increased significantly by 15,000 metric tons since 2015, and now the figure stands at 125,000 metric tons. Or you can change the structure in this way, writing there has been a significant increase in milk production since 2015. Tenses in task 1. The next one is about prediction based on the graphs. For the prediction we can use future simple or passive voice. Here's an example for a sentence written using future simple. The figure will reach 20,000 visitors in 2030. Or you can use this verb as well. The figure should reach 20,000 visitors in 2030. And these are more advanced sentence structures that you can use when you're describing the information in the chart. It is predicted, or it is expected, or it is anticipated that the figure will increase and reach 800 in 2050. Or another structure is here, the figure is expected to increase and reach to 800 in 2050. Remember, these are basically about the predictions in the future. Next up, subjects in task 1. Let's take a closer look at these in writing task 1. If the information is given with this symbol. You know, this symbol shows us the percentage of something, but you can also use some other words to describe the information in the chart. For example, the proportion of something, or the share of something, or the rate of something. Of course, you can use another preposition as well, which is for, but it usually depends on the sentence structure that you're going to use. Here are some examples: the proportion of undernourished children, or the percentage of undernourished children, the share of undernourished children, the rate of undernourished children. Next, some other words that shows us the amount or the number of something. The number of, the word number of is usually used with countable nouns, and the amount of something or the quantity of something. The amount of, the phrase amount of is usually used with uncountable nouns, and the quantity is used with both uncountable and countable nouns. For example, the amount of rice produced, or the quantity of rice produced. For the number, you can usually use countable nouns. For example, the number of children, or the number of players, etc. Next one, some other words that you can use in your essay, such as the figure, the index, the indication for something. The figure for agriculture in India, or the index for Indian farming, the indication for agriculture in India. Here are more examples. The first one, the percentage for students in China, or the percentage of students in China. The students' percentage in China. So as you can see, these are basically different structures that you can use in your essay. The Chinese students' percentage. The Chinese percentage for students, or the percentage of China for students, or the last one, the percentage of Chinese students, or the Chinese figure. These are the various ways of giving the information shown in the charts in your essay. 3 trend description structures. These are verb and adverb based example. So here you can see the structure. I'm not really going to go so deep into this structure, but I'll just read the example for you. The number of private schools in Tashkent grew dramatically to 35 in 2018. So here basically a verb, subject, and the verb and adverb structure. The number of private schools in Tashkent grew dramatically. Next example, the electricity consumption rose by 25% over the next 2 years and reached a high of 450 megawatts. The price of beef in Tashkent fluctuated at around 60,000 sums between 2018 and 2020. So this is related to this sentence structure, which is subject and then comes the verb, then adverb. In some of these examples there's no adverb, but the main part of this sentence starts with a subject and the verb. And this one is another structure. which starts with an adjective and noun. So let's take a look at this example. There has been a dramatic growth in the proportion of English learners in Uzbekistan from 10% to 70% of students over the last 10 years. This is, as we said earlier, about the information that started in the past and continued up to present. And this one is about the past. You can see the structure is a bit different. There was a marginal reduction in the number of Toyota cars sold in the USA to 180,000 units in 2018. Some more trend description structures here. I'm not going to read all of them, you can just basically check. But there's some special verbs there, such as experience, saw, or witness. These are a variety of verbs that you can use in your sentences. Go through or report. So while you're reading these examples, I'd like you to pay a special attention to these verbs. Right, let's move on to the next page. Sometimes we can use passive structures to describe different charts. So here are the structure for the passive, but let's just read the example sentence here. A sharp growth was experienced in the figure for German car production from 5% to 10%. About the time in task 1, here are different structures that you can use to describe the time in the chart. For example, from 1 year to another year, or till between a year and the year. So you can see some other. The last three structures over the given period or over the entire span of the period under discussion. Using the right preposition in your sentences is also very important in task 1. So you can see some of these examples with different prepositions. The first one shows the preposition to. For example, in 2008 the rate of unemployment rose to 10%. Or this one is described with by. In 2009 the rate of unemployment fell by 2%. Some other examples with other prepositions you can check here. Right, this is the end of our today's lesson. I hope today's words and phrases and all the things I've showed you were useful to you. In the next lesson we will deal with each type of charts, and we'll also practice how to write an essay, an actual essay. So I'll see you next time. Goodbye.